Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to everyone to the second session of Meet the Members of Empower Africa. I'm excited and honored to host this terrific podcast. My name is Shai Bernstein. I'm VP of Biz Development and Partnerships in Empower Africa. We're going to have one of these podcasts every Monday at 5 p.m. CAT, Central African Time, also known as GMT plus 2, also known as IDT, Israel Daylight Time, and so on. So before I present our distinguished guest for today, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I'll just give a quick rundown on Empower Africa. Empower Africa is a business community with a mission to drive investment, trade, and job creation in Africa. We believe in trade over aid and that business is the best way to build things and make a difference. We have three verticals of the company. The first is the Empower Africa Business Network. The second are our events and trade missions, which is an interesting fact. I'll get to our distinguished guest in a minute. And number three, consulting and project facilitation. We believe in bringing good people together. We believe in the power of synergy. 1 + 1 can equal 3, and with communities like this, even a million and a billion. So the Empower Africa business community is an invite-only and paid membership. We want to make sure that we have good and honest people that can add tremendous value to each other. And our goal is to create communication, optimize collaboration, and working together. We have anyone from SMEs and startups, investors, banks, PEs, VCs, governments, multinational enterprises, and so on. And speaking of bringing good people together, it's my pleasure and honor to introduce and welcome Asaf Lahav, our guest for
Hi,
today.
everyone.
Asaf is a
Hi.
managing director at Onida Agri and Aquaculture Solutions. Um, we actually go back to, what was it, November 2019, 2020?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah, 2019, I think. Yeah, it was way
2019,
before the
wow.
Corona.
Yeah, COVID,
Yeah,
COVID kind of, took out a year of our
yeah,
lives in a lot of ways.
definitely. Crazy,
And
crazy, crazy times.
yes, I actually can't
Yeah,
believe
so it
it's
was
been,
19. Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't believe it's been a year. Wow.
yeah. I'm with you
It's literally been a
from the
year.
very beginning. From the very beginning.
Yes. Now, Asaf.
Amazing, amazing trade show. Yeah, in Sierra Leone.
So we'll talk about the trade mission in a minute. I just want to give another
Sure.
just quick introduction about Asaf here. So Asaf joined us for the first trade mission that Empower Africa did. It was in Sierra Leone, November 2019, and we brought 9 international companies to visit Sierra Leone. Most of them, if not all of them, were there for the first time. There's nothing like traveling to a new country, seeing it with your own eyes, right? Feeling it with your feet and your hands,
Definitely.
and experiencing it firsthand. And during that trade mission, we brought together different government officials that are relevant in agriculture. We brought SMEs and local businesses, together with the international businesses that came in, and we facilitated more than 120 B2B meetings between the international companies and the local companies in Sierra Leone,
Yeah.
again, with the goal of driving investment, trade, and job creation. So, yeah, and Asaf was one of the first people that joined us. So, thank you, Asaf. Um,
Sure. My pleasure.
Once we're talking about the trade mission, I guess we can, kind of dive into that. But
Yeah, sure.
how was it visiting Sierra Leone for the first time for you?
Well, it was very interesting. I think the reason I came is our, desire to expand into more countries in the West African region. Sierra Leone is definitely an interesting country. I think there's a lot of room to develop agriculture and aquaculture in this country. I think the country really needs it, and the people are eager to work, and the country seems to be eager to help entrepreneurs, small medium enterprises as well as big enterprises to go into the country and develop it and help um, develop it from the private sector. So it was very interesting for me um, to see how the government is doing and taking steps to do it, and of course how Empower Africa is helping to connect the government and the foreign or international companies that would like to work, in this area. I think we're still working on some opportunities, and hopefully, something will come through. Yeah, definitely interesting country
Great,
for us.
fantastic.
Anyway,
Would
yeah.
you are you able to elaborate a little bit on different projects you're working on, or at this point I'd rather move on?
No, sure, no problem. Currently, we have some opportunities. We've done some projects, of course, on our with our past experience in Africa, in the West African region, such as Nigeria. A few projects of greenhouses in aquaculture, and last year we just finished a very big project in Azerbaijan, working on some opportunities in the East, in the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, and
Wow.
also looking to put something on ground in Israel. Yeah, so
Wow.
that's currently our leads. We do have some leads in Sierra Leone that we're working together with Empower Africa, with your director of agriculture, Maoz
Mozambique.
Aviv,
Yeah.
and yeah, we definitely look forward to see this come through.
Right. Wow. So,
Yeah, yeah,
we could backtrack just for a second. Can you share with us,
sure.
what have you been doing for the past, 5 or 10 years? If you can share with us specifically with this company, um, share with us some thoughts about aquaculture. I only learned about aquaculture basically when I met you, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was that big. Um, yeah, please,
Yes.
love to hear.
Sure, sure. So I've began doing agriculture and aquaculture projects about 8 years ago. I just joined the family business, and my background is law and business development. And I just rolled into this family business by accident, let's say. And but I loved every minute of it because I think something is very unique in doing agribusiness. It's a business as itself, a very good one, but it also brings something, on ground. It creates food, it creates, empowerment. It brings all the good stuff of the business, I think, and this is why I really like to do it. Really be like to be a part of it. So I think that's why I'm in, and that's why I'm doing this, and would like to continue doing it. So if we talk a little bit of agriculture and aquaculture, agriculture usually would be to take, a piece of ground, and if you want to do it, in a proper way, in an economic way, you have to do it intensive usually and bring a lot of technology into it and a lot of know-how that in Israel we have a lot. Aquaculture is a bit different from agriculture, where you grow animals. Every time where you grow animals, you need to have a specific knowledge of the animals you grow. I think what's unique about aquaculture, and I myself is more into aquaculture in my personal, um, wish to do business.
Right.
So aquaculture is basically to take um, a piece of nature and harness it, let's say, with technology, and use the best, let's say, technology in every site that you have, in order to bring intensive growing of marine life in a facility. And I think that's a very interesting way of addressing a major issue in the world of overexploited fish in a sea. And everybody knows, everybody talks about it. I think that the COVID just made some huge step both for agriculture and aquaculture, because
Right.
I think many countries understand now that they have to be self resilient. They need to know to supply food for
Feed
their own
themselves. Right.
people, and that's I think that's made a huge step for aquaculture and agriculture. Um, so basically, aquaculture is to grow fish or other marine life like shrimp, or it can be clams or whatever, but mainly fish, and grow it intensively in order to bring an economic farm that will bring food to people's plates eventually,
Right.
and for countries to be able to supply for their own people.
Right. Wow, it's so I remember speaking to a number of different people, both from the UAE
Hmm.
and from different countries in Europe, let alone many of our friends in different African countries, on the
Hmm.
importance of each country and each region even, because some countries are just huge, to be able to feed themselves, to be able to sustain
Yes,
themselves, right, and not only rely on export, import, and so on. Especially when you're talking about
of
import.
course.
And by the way, the Gulf is actually an interesting example for that. We were just there a few months ago because it's one of the richest and wealthiest regions in terms of you go to
Hmm.
a restaurant and you got any seafood or sushi that you can imagine, even though they don't grow anything there, right, but rather
Of
it's
course.
all import.
Yeah.
But then as we
Yeah.
all experienced when COVID started, like you're saying, there was a freeze, right? There were a number of places,
Definitely.
and most places around the world that everything just stopped for a bit. I don't remember if it was a few days or a few weeks, but there was so much uncertainty about the pandemic that they literally
Hmm.
stopped the exports and imports in so many places around the world.
Yes.
Then you ask yourself, hold on, me as a country, and again, taking as the Gulf as an example, because they are extremely wealthy. That's not the problem. The problem is they're relying completely on the import.
On
Um,
imports, yes, definitely.
yeah. So yeah, I think, I mean, aquaculture, I guess, just has such an important function these days, right? When we know how important it is. Um, you know, um,
Definitely.
have you
Yes,
experienced?
definitely.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yes, so if we're talking about the Gulf, yes, I think the United Arab Emirates imports about 80% of its fish, and that's crazy
80%.
in terms of economy. 80%. Saudi Arabia imports more than 50% of its fish consumption, and it's crazy because what it does, it's a major economic problem for the country, especially in times like a COVID, when there's pandemic. Um, the foreign exchange is damaged from for the local currency because of the aggressive imports of food, and you cannot stop it because people need to eat.
Right.
Now, what's unique, I think, about aquaculture in this aspect is that these countries want to develop aquaculture more than anything. Not only them, by the way, many countries in the world, because fish is a very good diet, and that's something people doesn't really understand completely. It's the best protein you can get. Of course, you need to get protein to live and to live healthy. And in order to get the best protein, fish is one of the most good one for healthy diet. And this is why all these rich countries would like to develop the aquaculture more than anything else, because they can deliver to their people a good diet with enough protein. And of course, this is something people like. Fish is a very, something all over the world. I think it's one of the best meals you
Right.
can get.
Wow. And could you share, like, elaborate a bit? Which type of fish are we talking about? Like, what have you been growing and working with?
Okay,
Which type?
so it can be basically in aquaculture, you can do almost anything that is culturable. I mean, any fish that culturable. What does it mean? A fish that is culturable? It's a fish that you can reproduce. You can build a hatchery and reproduce it. This is a culturable fish. Many of the fish today are culturable, not all of them, of course. Um, and we had experience with both with tilapia, sea bass, barramundi. We're aiming to do some cobia fish and yellowtail projects, and we also had sturgeon fish both for meat, fish meat, and also for producing caviar, the fish eggs, of
Wow.
course, the sturgeon, yeah, which is yeah.
Right.
This is the Azerbaijan project, which is very interesting, yeah, in that
Oh, the
aspect.
Azerbaijan is caviar?
Yeah, as caviar target,
Wow.
yeah, and also meat, but mainly for caviar. That's the
Right.
big dollar.
Right, right.
Yeah,
I personally it wasn't so much my taste. I felt it was a little bit too, you know, not just
yeah,
salty, but it's not my cup of tea. But I know that it's, a very big,
yeah. It's a
trendy.
delight for for many Soviet former Soviet Union kids grow
Right,
on caviar.
right,
And yeah, it's mainly that area, but not only.
right. And so, how does it how difficult is it to you know start a project like this? Say I'm a country from the Gulf or anywhere else,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you have the know-how how to build from A to Z an aquaculture farm like we're speaking about, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. That's what we do.
Right. So can you yeah,
Yeah, sure. Please go
can
ahead.
you walk us through maybe a bit the stages, right? I mean, how big a piece of land do we need? Does it have to be near an
Mm-hmm.
ocean or a river? Yes or no? Is it, the construction itself? Does it take, assuming you have the tractors and ready to go, is it a long process, 2 months, 2 years to build?
Okay. Yeah. So basically, if we're talking about aquaculture project, um, first we will need, some entrepreneur in some country or in need, someone who wants to build an aquaculture farm. That's the basics. Once we have potential, interest in a country, it can be, by the way, either, and we have experience with both, either private sector or it can be government that would like to bring project to life. Um, we will always start with a site survey, and we will never skip this step. It's usually a step that is some have some issues because we do need to chart we have to go through it. Let's say it like that. We have to
Right,
go through it because I think, and it's one of the most important steps, because once you learn the specific site conditions, then you can bring the best result at the end of the project. If you learn it, very carefully, the soil, we do water tests, we take soil samples and check the weather. We take um, geologic maps of the area, hydrologic maps if you have one, and we check if it's a sea project. Then we check the waves and the weather condition and the
wow,
temperature and the pH of the water. A lot of data that we have to collect in order to bring the best project for the site.
right,
And I think that's what we are always aiming for. We need to bring a good project for the cultured fish, and the cultured fish would be the one that will be best for the site specifics. So the next step after the site survey, that we will deliver a business plan and of course results of the feasibility study from the
right,
site survey. Then once we have a go and we go into a project, then we start to build it. It really depends on the type of the project and how big it is, but it would take approximately 1 year to construct. Now we have three types of project generally if we're talking about aquaculture, and each one takes different,
Right.
different time of different. It's a different schedule for each one. So if we do marine cages, usually the construction is very short. We have to anchor it into the sea and bring the technology, of course, and import the technology and cages and buy some vessels, and that's it. Basically, it's a very quick one. If we do a flow-through system, which is the second technology we use, then we need some kind of water source. It might be a river or a sea, but we have to be on shore and right by some kind of water source or a lake maybe. But what we do in flow-through, we take the water from the natural space it is, and then we drive it through the farm and then bring it back to where it came from. After, of course, treating the water and bringing it as clean as possible. And then third technology, which does not require flowing or a large source of water, which is the RAS, the recirculating aqua system.
Mhm.
This system is a closed system. The water circles inside the farm, and then you discharge between 1% to 10% of the water. It depends on how much water you have as a source nearby. It can be a well, but it doesn't necessarily have to be large volume of water because the water circulates and we have an internal filter, biological filter that filters the water and does what it needs for the fish to grow. So that's basically the three types of projects that we will offer, and each one takes a little bit of different time. Let's flow through and recirculate the aqua system will take about 1 to 1.5 years to build.
Wow. And is it like how many people, just as an estimate, are working on a project like that? Is it 5 people? Is it 50 people?
It really depends on the size, of course. We usually we don't recommend to do less than 500 tons per year as a size of farm. Um, and if we're talking about 500, 1,000 tons per year, we're talking about uh, 15 to 20 people that will work directly on the farm, and then another 30 to 40 in the surrounding services that the farm needs. That's approximately the impound that we're talking about.
Right. Wow. Um, you mentioned that you had a very impressive project in Nigeria about creating a
Yeah.
whole ecosystem. Care sharing just a
Yes,
bit about that?
sure. I think one of our Nigerian projects, I think it was the first one of aquaculture, was very unique, and we used to show it as a case study.
Right.
This one was in River State, Nigeria, and it was so remote that we couldn't even reach it by trucks. So we had to take dredgers to get the equipment into the site, and the site was actually an island on a river. Crazy. It was very logistically talking speaking, it was very difficult. We had a lot of issues with low and tide because it was very close to the sea. And then once we had a tide, then the river goes up by 1.5 meters, which affects also the pumping station that needs to know where to pump from. You need to set the levels right so you
Yeah.
always have water. This was a flow-through system, so we needed one 100, sorry, 1600 um, uh, cubic meters per hour flow-through
Wow.
system. Yes, that's what we're talking about.
So
We
it
need to
really has to be
exchange.
very close, no? It has to be very close, if I'm understanding correctly. Or you have a serious pump. How do you?
Yeah, you need to have a serious pump, and usually when we're talking about flow through, we need to be very close to the area, to the sea or to the water source. And yeah, you can take water from remote area. In Azerbaijan, we had a pipe that goes 1 kilometer into the sea. So yeah, you can take it from different places, but you need to be like nearby a huge source. Yeah, it's a lot of water.
It's a lot of water. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. And I know that also one of the things that you're passionate about and what your company does is also taking an existing project and improving it, right? Scaling it up. And if
Hmm.
I remember
Yeah.
correctly, this is true not only for aquaculture but also agriculture. I'd love to hear,
Hmm.
your thoughts on that.
Sure. There's always our we also have service of just sorry, consulting for different farms. And a part of the consulting would be also to how to improve the yield, how to maybe set some technology inside an existing farm in order to produce more efficient results and a better yield for the farm. Right now, we're working on an opportunity in Israel to take an existing farm and improve it, and basically taking its infrastructure, building on it something else by minor changes, and then creating an amazing farm from something abandoned.
Wow.
So yeah, we're definitely into this type of business as well.
Yeah, I think one of the most meaningful things is to be able to find some infrastructure, existing infrastructure, whether it's broken or there were specific challenges and they can't kind of rise up to the occasion, and execute, which is, as we know, always a challenging thing, right? To build a project and a business and to execute it
Of
properly.
course.
um, and Yeah, I think there's really a lot of there's a real need all over the world. And we personally have been encountering many different projects on continent specifically where you
Hmm.
really have almost everything in place. In other words, you
Yeah.
have the land, right? Africa accounts to 20% of the land mass of the world. Okay. Um, there are many places that you have actually a lot of water, surprisingly, right? Many people think it's just a desert.
Hmm.
Um, and the minute you have the entrepreneur that you mentioned before, or the business owner, or the government that has that, initiative and interest to come and push forward a project, um, if they have something that they started and it's just not kind of not happening yet, someone like you and your company could just be like the missing piece, of saying, okay, I know you guys are trying to do it this way. What's missing is X, Y, Z. And I think that that can have an enormous, really tremendous impact on both that specific area and community, because most of these times it's a serious, job creator. And you need
Of
to
course.
more and more people from the area, from the villages nearby, the cities nearby. And of course, it drives the investment, where you have the more we have more of these projects, the easier it is to show different investors who are not necessarily looking at Africa yet, right? Yet, and show them success
Exactly.
stories and see how, with the
Definitely.
know-how that Asaf Lahav and the rest of the Unida team brings, um, the sky's the limit in terms of the different potential projects that can be done there. And again, I know for a fact that, like you mentioned, there are many countries that are realizing this now across the globe, and
Definitely.
needing to have that functionality. So that's super interesting, and I'm sure that you're gonna have a lot of work. I know you're busy now, but you're gonna have a lot of work coming up as well. When
Yeah,
things start opening up
hopefully.
more and more. So I'm sure that's going
Definitely.
to be the case.
Yeah.
I wanted to also ask, as a member of Empower Africa, and we, go back to the trade mission, and I think you've also, not I think, I know you've been to at least some of our events throughout the past year.
Mm, of
Um,
course.
and you really know what we're building here in terms of the business community. Um, you're,
Hmm.
of course, we share the belief of driving sustainable economic development, right? and doing it through
hmm
business and trade over aid. Um, what would as a member of Empower Africa, tell me about the kind of, businesses and individuals and companies that you would want to meet and why.
Okay. First of all, I'm very grateful for for what you're building, and it's great to be a part of it. I think I've been there from the very beginning, and it's nice because I feel very involved. And I think what I'm looking for in this, an amazing platform that you're building is the connections to both entrepreneurs that would like to, initiate such projects and looking for the technology or looking for the know-how, and they need, the assistance maybe to improve their farm or to build from scratch. And I also would very much like to hear about investors that willing to take part, because many of our clients would like to see a project and get technology, but they also need some fund for it. So I think what can be very unique, and it's already started rolling, I think, on your platform, is the connections between everyone, the investors from one hand, the entrepreneurs or the clients from the other hand, and I think all the technology and the consulting firms such as us, technology providers and consulting that can meet on this platform and share the ideas and try to match everything together. It will be easier to tie the loose ends and maybe bring a lot of projects to life in that way.
Right. 100%, 100%. Well, look, we're first of all, we're honored to have you from the start, and we appreciate
Thank
the
you.
friendship, and we know that we can and will continue to create value for each other. And
Of course.
I really think that one of the fundamental concepts, that we're working on is really that visibility and
Yeah.
connectivity between the different people, right? There's so many
Yeah.
it's such a it's quite a fragmented market when you think about it. When you have different people from Israel, the US, London, France, all over, where they want to do business in Africa in different countries, and there really is it's really fragmented, and one of the things that we're doing is really to make it more cohesive, and we want to,
Yeah.
as part of this trusted business community that we're building, it's not only to bring together good people who share, the values that we all share, and who again want to do business, right? It's about business, and how we can create all this value through human connections and understanding what
Yes.
Asaf and Onida are looking
Mm.
for, to what John Michael from so and so is looking for, and putting the people together so we can again drive investment, trade, and job creation in Africa. Um,
Yes. And I think you also create a trustful platform that is very helpful for all these fragmented, market, for all this fragmented market. Yeah, definitely. I think the trust that you build inside this platform, that everyone that is in are someone you know or someone who knows someone, I think is very important, because I would like to do business with someone I can trust. I think that's something that is very helpful in a platform.
100%. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's really, and it's true for everyone, right? We all want to do business with people that if we don't know them
Of
personally,
course.
then we have a good friend who knows him, right? And that's how you get the reference
Exactly.
going. And 100%, 100%. Okay, before we wrap it up, would you like to add anything else or mention anything else?
No, I think I've talked too much here.
No, no,
So
no.
yeah,
It's a pleasure. It was a pleasure hearing, so much about aquaculture, learning more about it, hearing about Asaf Lahav and about Onida, and
thank you.
yeah, we know that we're going to be in touch very soon and talk about different projects.
Of
But
course.
we're here every Monday at 5 p.m. Central Africa time with this Meet the Members podcast, and keep highlighting the members of the Pan Africa Business Network. so that we can bring the right people together and drive more business in Africa. So thank you very much, Asaf. Thanks for joining
Sure, my
us.
pleasure. Thank you.
Stay
Thank you
safe
for
and
having me. Thanks.
healthy. Of course, of course. Stay safe and healthy. Take care, man.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.